Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're subscribed anywhere you get podcasts and follow me on social media at MLU Pod. And you can support My Little Underground for as little as $1 a month. Link is in the description and over at peteraradio.com. Today I'll be talking to Drew Citron about her debut solo album, Free Now, the status of Beverly, working with Public Practice, what she has learned from mixing live bands, and so much more right here on My Little Underground. Drew, welcome to My Little Underground. So good to talk to you again.
Great to be here, Peter.
Yeah. You know, we've talked on radio before, but now we're transitioning into new mediums.
Yes.
Which is great. And you're moving on to a lot of you're in a state of transition now, musically speaking, with your self-titled solo album here, Free Now.
Yes.
Must be very freeing for you to kind of let all that emotion out.
Yeah, it's very much it's exactly what it sounds like. It's very liberating.
So pre-Free Now, were you about to get ready to get a third Beverly album going?
Yeah, this is actually technically the third Beverly record, but I put it out under my own name just as like a change of pace, and you know, the band is basically dissolved at this point, so it's just a fresh start, you know.
But I will say, like, Dead on Arrival sounds very Beverly-esque.
There's a couple songs on the record that are very, very Beverly to a T, for sure.
Yeah, and that's still a part of you, even though the band may not be whole now, but it's still kind of who you are, right? Is that fair to say?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
agree. That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, but Dead on Arrival is definitely one of my favorite tracks off here, and I think the lyric "bouquet of poisonous flowers" is so poetic. I love it. So what did you mean by that?
Thanks, dude. I don't know. I think the message of the song is kind of like when you sort of get to a place and it surprises you by already being over. You get to a new place and it's already gone, kind of thing. Like nostalgia for something that maybe hasn't even happened yet. That kind of
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
Have
love
you
that
seen?
song too. I think
Yeah, me too.
that's probably my favorite song on the record.
Really. Yeah, it's so it's stellar. It's very beautiful, like typical, what I expect from you. Just very lush, beautiful, but this time it's this dagger, this thorn of emotional heartache, which I love so much. It's so great.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah. You've seen The Shining, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you remember when uh what's his face? Um
Jack Nicholson?
Yes. No. What's the name of his character?
Yeah, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Jack. Yes. So Jack sees like this beautiful woman in a hallway in a bathtub, and then it turns out to be this old, decrepit old woman.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you're talking about on Dead on Arrival, right? You get this flower.
That's a nice analogy. That's the part of the movie that I really can't even stomach, even to this day. It's like the scariest part of the movie, for sure.
Yes, exactly. It's the most uncomfortable part of the movie.
I've been watching a lot of horror movies in quarantine, just trying to like will myself to like them because I appreciate them and I love the art form, I love the style, but I'm such a scaredy cat and I'm like just trying to like wean myself up to scarier and scarier stuff. Um, and it's been a really fun quarantine project.
What horror movies?
Well, so I just felt like so lame that I never saw Midsommar, and I was like, I can't see that. I'm gonna be too scared. And then I watched it, and it turned out to not be scary to me at all. So I kind of was like going down that vein of the like indie horror, like highbrow stuff. Like I watched Hereditary, which was so good and so scary. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Ooh, it's really scary. It's crazy
Okay.
good. The acting's so good. Um, I don't know. All across the board. I watched It Follows. I watched some old horror stuff from the 70s too. It's been fun.
I saw Halloween for the first time, the first one.
Ugh, isn't it great? Isn't the music great? I mean, obviously,
It's
that's
so good.
yeah, so
So
good.
good. There's something about the score of a lot of horror movies from around that time, and we were talking about The Shining. It literally adds to the suspense and the horror
Yeah,
of of the movie, and it's almost like the music is also the monster holding the knife too.
totally. I can't wait to someday get into that somehow. I'd love to compose for TV and film at some point later in life.
You can do it.
Yeah,
You
why
can do.
not?
I believe in you, Drew.
Thanks.
So when writing this album or in general, did you kind of put all of your sour post breakup emotions and kind of watch other kinds of romantic heartbreak content as inspiration for this, like how like a movie or a book would approach heartbreak? Did you look to any kind of inspiration as a framework? It doesn't have to be music.
Um, You know, my framework is just trying to make good. I just want to make songs that are, you know, heady and meaningful and like ignite kind of the imagination of the listener. Like, I like lyrics that are up to interpretation. So I kind of just like, I don't know. I just want to make things, I just want to write good songs. I'm a pop songwriter. It's kind of simple, you know? That's the framework I'm working in. Like, I want to express what I'm feeling and I want it to sound great. That's it, pretty much.
Because at the end of the day, we're listening to this stuff.
Yeah,
It's got to sound good.
yeah.
And that sounds very obvious, but some musicians, some artists don't really focus on that kind of thing. It's more of just
No, yeah,
okay.
not at all. Like, yeah, totally. Some people aren't interested in making pop song structures at all. And yeah, I'm in the pop canon for sure.
Yeah, of course. Park the Van. How did you get involved with this label?
Oh, they're so awesome. Chris, the guy who runs the label, was a Beverly fan and approached me actually because they were working with uh, they they work on the management side with Broncho, and I was doing sound for Broncho, and he came up to me and was like, "Are you from Beverly? Like, I really liked that band. Like, what's going on? Let me hear what you're doing next." And it was just very serendipitous that we met, and he's like really supportive of my music, and I think is going to put out the next record too. I have like a second record already basically done at this point.
So you did sound a lot, for Alphaville. I remember seeing you on the boards.
Hmm.
Uh, doing sound in a live setting. Did it kind of help you with, if you had any part of engineering your music, especially this album or any future project or public practice, etc.?
Yes, totally. I am very hands on with engineering and production, and the thing that's like kind of uh one of the better kept secrets of like audio engineering is that you don't have to go to school for it. Like, I never went to school. I just learned how to do live sound by doing it. And um that also applies to production. Like, I mean, some of the best people I've worked with in the studio are just like, you know, getting their hands dirty and learning how to mix and record just by doing it, you know?
Yeah, I actually went through the same thing. Like I did live sound in high school, and a little bit in college, and it's all about just learning.
Hmm.
That's it, just doing. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's like I have great. I don't want to brag, but I have really good ears, and like I have good instincts with that stuff. And it's kind of like trial and error. Hey, let's try this out, and if we don't like it, we'll change mics, or we'll you know let's use a synth instead. Or it's just about experimentation and like having fun. I love mixing live shows. I actually like really have missed that. Obviously, I miss going to shows and I miss working at shows too.
It can be a fun pain in the ass to do that kind of thing because it's all live, it's all real in real time, and there's a lot of things that can change on the fly. That kind of helps you as a performer, right?
Totally. Like I kind of burn you go through waves. Like I burn out on live sound if I'm doing like 5 shifts a week, seeing 4 bands a night. Like that's it you really burn out on that. Um but when you're like discovering a really cool new band and you're enjoying mixing it and you're like adding something to how it sounds or you're adding like some cool vocal effects, it's really satisfying and really like a fun experience for me.
Let me ask you this: so when you do shows again, are you going to ask for lots of reverb on your voice?
I'm so uh my policy when I play shows now that I've been a live engineer for so long is like, hey, give me like a plate reverb and a little slap delay, and then also do whatever you want. Like listen to the song and have fun, because sometimes it gets boring to just like sit back there and set it and forget it. And like some audio engineers are like, wow, no one's ever like told me that. No one's ever like told me to have fun doing my job. And then like you'd be surprised the results are like, they're more engaged and want to mix your set well. Um, I'm a real reverb hog. I love it. I need a lot of verb up there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, not judging at all. I'm pro reverb.
yeah, of course. Um, but also like I don't need to be like bathed in reverb anymore the way I used to be. I'm actually much more like confident with my singing, and like as long as the monitor sounds good, then I don't really care. It's like, yeah, no one cares about that stuff except other musicians. You know what I mean? People
Yeah,
listening to this like aren't even gonna really understand what I'm talking about. So, uh, unless they're in this business,
yeah.
you get really hung up on that stuff.
Tell me about the differences of being part of a band with a pseudonym, i.e., Public Practice, Beverly, etc., and
Mhm.
how personal and intimate putting out a self-titled album with your first and last birth name.
It's pretty it took me a while to like wrap my head around it, and even like changing my Instagram handle. I know that sounds so cheesy, but it was a big deal. Like it was just like a big leap of faith. Like, hey, you're really putting yourself out there, you're really vulnerable, and especially the material is so vulnerable. Like I've said this in interviews for this record. Like I don't really have any excuse not to do that anymore because like I expect the same vulnerability and intimacy from artists that I like. So, and that's what inspires me most. So, like, why would I ever, you know, withhold that from my output? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, of course.
all of my favorite musicians are just like extremely confessional, emotional people. So, you know, I got to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you said that this is a breakup album, but that can mean a lot of different things, and your lyrics can mean different things to different people.
Totally.
Because yeah, and I like what you said about the lyrics are up to the listener's interpretation of what you may be talking about or certain scenarios you may be talking about. But I think the main thing, especially listening to this album, is that there's a relatability to that. There's a relatability to your personal struggles with romance.
It's interesting like um yeah, that's when you say struggles with romance. It's like,
That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to say.
no, like I'm just such a romantic. I'm always in love. I'm always out of love. It's the main like driving force of my life. I'm just like that. Like my Venus is in Scorpio. Like let's just be honest. And I live my life like this. That's the way my art is. And like, you know, the next album might be like more of a love letter album, but it'll still be mournful and melancholy and like probably emotionally intense, but like that's just how I am, and that's what I'm making. And I think lyrics are definitely, should be open to interpretation. Poetry is totally in the eye of the reader, and you know, yeah, I think that's like the best thing about making music.
So public practice, right? It's very punk, assertive, and then there's you, Drew Citron. The
Mhm.
solo work is very delicate, romantic, personal, and Beverly also very sweet and melodic.
Mhm.
Is there a project and or a style that you identify with more, or do these projects help you tell a different side of your creative self?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that the latter is true. Like, public practice is fun as hell. It's a release, it's a party, and it's really powerful. And like, it's more technically demanding. Like, it's just harder for me to play bass like that, you know? And it's more like, it's more about like the energy and the proficiency of the playing. And that's really satisfying for a different part of my brain, for sure. And I love it. And we're actually going away for a little writing retreat in November because we're gonna get started. We're gonna get cracking on the next record. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that because it's almost like doing cardio and working up your upper body strength.
For sure.
You know? Yeah.
And my personal, yeah, it's like doing cardio versus like whatever my solo project is, which is like getting in the bath with some wine.
I feel like that's more your speed though.
Yeah, my project is like just like eating pizza, watching a movie. Um exactly. But they're both important. They're both important.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So you've said you've been very active with protesting. How many protests did you go to? What was the atmosphere?
God.
And were you met by any counter protesters? Or were you arrested? Or did you know anyone that got arrested?
I did know people that got arrested. I did not get arrested. I only encountered counter protesters like very mildly. Um that actually reminded me of, so uh, it kind of felt like at the Dyke March. I usually go to the Dyke March every year on Pride weekend. And there's like always, when you turn the corner out of Bryant Park, there's always like a one guy with like a lesbians go to hell sign. There's always like one guy that's just like, come on, guy. Like there's thousands of us doing this. And there's like one counter protester. And I'm always like, you know what? Like, this guy's got guts. He's just out here by himself when just really nobody likes him. Anyway, but yeah, I did go to a lot of protests, and I got involved with a group that was amplifying voices and like using our audio expertise, mics, speakers, and like a wireless system to just amplify the speakers and the band sometimes. So that was really, really great to be kind of like working the events, because you, yeah, because it was just cool to like be in service of a movement, specifically BLM at the time, which was just like, hey, I'm going to be here all day. I'm here to support this. I'm here to listen and I'm here to learn, which was like the main point for me. It was just like, showing up and listening and like radicalizing. It's great.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're out there. That's great.
I'm like, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really, I was very angry and moved and disappointed and baffled like many people in the country. So I don't know what I'm gonna do on Tuesday. What are you doing?
Oh,
What are you doing for the election?
I made sure I voted before election day.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just trying to avoid any Proud Boys. How about that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Any possibility of anything like that happening. So
Mm.
I told my brothers, make sure y'all do this before Tuesday because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess for me, I guess for everything that's happening, I just try to do my best to amplify Black voices with
Mhm.
my platform, and I also think that artists, people who create or creatives, are put in this weird position to almost like they have to say something with their art. I think artists are put to a certain unnecessary standard to
Totally.
have to do anything when we have these elected officials that should be doing that. We should be holding these people up to a standard.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I actually totally agree. I just had the opportunity this summer to meet some really amazing young activists and artists in their own right, and I've like connected with some musicians and stuff that I never like would have otherwise just by showing up. And some of the like some of the like one-on-one relationships that have come out of this summer are really spectacular and really cool.
Did you have any reservations putting out an album during these tumultuous times?
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in May. We pushed it till July, and then I pushed it because I was like, I'm not releasing music. Like July was the heaviest, foot traffic, square miles covered um of protests for me in my life. So I was just like, I can't be taking up airspace for my own music right now. Um and the label was like, we totally understand. Their entire schedule got pushed back because everyone was like, no, I'm not using social media to promote anything that's not about Black Lives Mattering. So
Mm.
it was very apparent that we needed to push it back, and I'm really glad we did. And October release felt, you know, I don't know, just it just felt better. And I didn't want to wait longer because I'm like, I've been sitting on this music for years at this point, basically, and it's good to just be releasing. It's good to get it out there. I'm probably going to start like releasing singles next year for the next album too. Just like keep putting stuff out because I have a lot of material.
Please, because I've been waiting a minute to hear something from you.
I know, isn't it crazy? It's
Yeah,
really,
every time I run into you, I'm like, okay, what's next? What do you got for me?
I know. So here it is. I'm really
Yep.
proud of it. I'm really proud of the record. Um, I just couldn't be happier with, you know, how even how like sad it is that I'm not touring it. Obviously, it's just kind of like just hearing from old friends, people hitting me up and being like, "This song meant so much to me." Like, it's just been a really nice reception so far.
Yeah, and a lot of songs from the album are kind of just stuck in my head as I'm talking to you.
Oh,
I
thanks.
guess the last week, I'm like, okay, I'm talking to Drew this week. Now the music's in my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've listened to the album a couple times, but still, it's just there. It's never
Oh,
going away anytime soon
oh,
until the next stuff comes out, right? So
sorry.
you said
Stuck
you've
in,
been working. Go ahead.
I'm stuck in there. Sorry. I'm on repeat.
Well, you've been there for a while because yeah, I've been Beverly public practice, all that stuff, still there, didn't go away.
Dude, I mean, public practice, unfortunately, that I still feel like we should have pushed the shit out of that release, but
Hmm.
whatever. It came out kind of at the least opportune time of quarantine. Um, and that's cool. We just gotta put more stuff out. Um, But yeah, we were robbed of our big release show moment. We were planning like this crazy party at the Wharf Cat offices. Um, you know, you know how we like to go all out.
Yeah, I don't think I've been to a public practice show yet. Maybe.
You
No,
know,
you know what? I saw you and Sam at a Yak show back in February
yes,
of last year.
yeah.
I didn't want to say anything because you guys were like talking and everything. Me and my brother were just watching the show. Like, oh wait, that's just Drew from Beverly, and we were like, oh, that's cool.
Was that at Rough Trade?
That was a rough trade.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Aw, shows.
Yeah. Right. Oh my god. You said you've written a lot of material while quarantine.
Mhm.
Is it all of just your material, or is it any other projects? Another
It's another Drew Citron album.
Beverly. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And you're gonna put that out. That's gonna be what, 2021, summer of 2021,
Maybe
fall of 2021.
we're thinking of like April. Like,
Oh, that makes sense. That
yeah,
makes sense for a Drew album.
yeah. Doesn't it sound nice?
Yeah,
I'm
sounds
stoked.
great. Yeah, I'm stoked. Believe me.
Maybe we'll play shows by then too. I don't know.
Hmm, I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think about the live stream shows? Because I know you did one not too long ago.
I did. It was chill.
It was cool.
I liked the thing. I actually did a release show at Sultan Room on the roof. Um, and it was like socially distanced. Everyone was seated, and there were only 40 people there.
Okay.
And I made a video of it, and I'm gonna stream that at some point, and it'll be like a quote unquote live stream. So you can watch the live show probably in a couple weeks when it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't want
Drew?
to do any more live streamies. I want to do like a real video or nothing at all, kind of.
Why? What are your qualms against live streaming?
I'm just too much of a perfectionist about like the audio and video quality. Like I just really think the technical difficulties are always like a nightmare. It always like sounds weird. I want to have
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen some live stream Instagram shows. Some sounded great. Some sounded horrible.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. What about Twitch? Do you ever think about exploring that?
Yeah, I should. I mean, my housemate does like a weekly DJ thing every week and you know, I think they can make some money doing that. And it's just like a fun way for people to discover you. I don't know. Sounds like something maybe that's not necessarily up my alley, but I don't think it's that. Yeah, I'm not gonna you know, I don't think I'm gonna go seriously into it, but it seems cool for some people.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Drew, thank you so much for
Thank
chatting with
you,
me.
Peter.
The album Free Now is out right now. And where can people follow you, Drew?
At Drew Citron on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, all that good stuff.
Thank you so much, Drew.
Thanks, Peter.